What's going on, my friend? Welcome back. Theo's hanging out with us for this one. This is going to be a very short little instructional video on how to start taking control of the stories that may have been controlling your life or robbing you of life and keeping you stuck in this loop of victimhood and limitation and pain and restriction and constriction and avoidance and all the things that tend to happen to us when we are put in a traumatic situation or a painful situation, or we just don't have the tools and the support to deal with something and make sense of it. So our minds always make their own story, right? We work and live and believe and perceive in story. This is how the human mind works. And so we're going to make it really simple, really, really simple. And I highly encourage you, as you hear this, you might think, that's too simple. How could that work? Right? What's the point of that? It does work, and you will see that it works if you try it. When you try it, when you do it, rather, there's no try. And it's what's called four-stepping a story. And I got this from the coaches at Enlifted. Some amazing work that they do, and it's the four-stepping a story. And so the first piece is simply writing down with your hand in a pen and a piece of paper or a journal, writing down what happened. What was the story? Were you abused as a child? Were you forced into a situation against your will? Were you dealing with a health crisis? You know, for me, I had my appendix rupture, and it ruptured, and the first doctor I went to misdiagnosed me, totally missed it, gave me a bunch of painkillers, 2 shots of morphine, Tylenol 3s, did an x-ray, said you have the flu, and then sent me home. Now, that story I told myself for almost a year afterwards, because I suffered with a lot of complications and a lot of infection and a lot of digestive issues as a result of my idea, as a result of that doctor not doing his job properly. And that story looped and looped and looped in my mind to make me justified in my victimhood until I realized this isn't doing anything for me. There's absolutely nothing I can do to change the past. What happened, happened. Here I am. And if I keep staying stuck on this story, I'm not accepting responsibility and owning what happened. Just as an example. And so what I want you to do here is writing in complete sentences, right? So write it as if you're writing an actual story, not little jot notes or bullet points, complete sentences as if you were telling it to somebody else, and write the story, right? Write the story from start to finish, write that story out. You can expect emotions to rise as you do this process, whether it's the first step or one of the other following steps. So the first step is to write the story. Sit down, go to a cafe, go to someplace quiet, go to someplace in nature, someplace that's inspiring, that's peaceful, and sit and write the story. Put your phone on silent or on airplane mode, and just be with yourself, be in that story, write it down. Step number one. Step number two, you're going to read the story aloud. Read the story aloud. Notice what you notice, feel what you feel. It's a great awareness exercise. The third part, you're going to read the story aloud, but you're going to slow yourself down by about 30%. So just like when you were a child, when many of us were children and we had to present in front of the class, you tend to talk fast. You tend to talk really fast and just want to get through the story really quickly, and you're going to be, embarrassed or something. And so you want to speed through it, right? When you speed through it, you can't feel what's in that story. So you need to slow down, 30% slower. Slow it on down, slow it on down, slow it on down, and read it through. The last step, the fourth step, is to add a complete full belly inhale and exhale. So a full breath, just like that, at each period in the story. Of course, that's going to slow you down even more. And what it's also going to do is it's going to force your nervous system to start to relax more deeply, right? It's going to relax you more deeply. It's going to help calm the nerves, calm the stress, and allow you to, again, feel more deeply into that story. Now, at some point through this process, And it can be more effective to read it aloud with somebody or for someone, so someone's witnessing you. And if I've given you this as homework, then we can definitely do that at our next call together. But otherwise, just doing it for yourself is still really, really powerful. And so what you can expect at some point, especially if it's a particularly painful story, at some point, you're likely to have an emotional outpouring, whether it's tears. It's often tears. Tears are the most healing and the most common form of emotional outpouring that tends to happen with something like this. And it's beautiful. So please let it come, embrace it, let those emotions flow, let the tears, which are heart for the medicine, they say in the indigenous cultures that I've sat with, medicine for the heart. Let those tears flow and to purify you and lighten you up from within. After you've done this, you'll likely notice that that story has lost a lot of the weight and that you don't have to keep telling it to yourself. And that from here, you can actually go and start to rewrite the outcome and rewrite from where you are now. How do you want your future story to look, right? Not letting the past affect and dictate how you move from here, but starting to get really excited and really curious and really creative about what future you want to build. So that's it. That is the 4-stepping of your story exercise. Take your time with this. Don't skip over it. Don't ignore it. Don't distract yourself with Netflix and phones and social media. Take the time to do this most basic thing that is so often overlooked and give yourself that gift. The emotional insight, clarity, and freedom that tends to come on the other side is so, so worth it. So make some time for this. Either do it now or set a time in your calendar, make a date with yourself. And I look forward to hearing about it. Okay. Take good care.